broadcasting stations.
Oh, yeah.
It's time for Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here is your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
What a long holiday weekend from the Bahamas to Philadelphia, from the Egg Bowl to the Iron Bowl, from NFL comebacks to another home Grizzlies loss. They couldn't shoot, and they defended below average, and they've yet to win a game at home in this 23-24 season. Whew, we've got you covered. Coast to coast, John Thompson will be with us. We'll talk all the college football that we can muster. And then Jason Munns will go over the trip to the Bahamas. We got medals coming your way. We got championship games this weekend. Big Ten. Can you believe Michigan, a 23-point favorite over Iowa? Of course, if they win, they're in the college football championship. We got Alabama, Georgia. Georgia, a 5-point favorite. If Georgia wins, they're in. If Alabama wins, could be chaos. We'll get to that in the segment with John Thompson. Pac-12, that's the most intriguing, and I am amazed. Oregon is a 9-point favorite over Washington. Washington beat them in the regular season. I'm guessing the winner gets in here. What about Florida State and Louisville? Florida State, a 3-point favorite over Louisville, even with the backup quarterback. Florida kind of blew that game against Florida State. And then Texas and Oklahoma State, and the Longhorns are 14.5-point favorites, as they should be. Ohio State on the outside looking in. Alabama, of course, has a chance to get in. But if Texas wins, let's say Alabama wins, but Florida State wins, Michigan wins, I don't know what will happen with the winner, because Alabama gets knocked off by Texas in a tiebreaker. So it'll be interesting to watch all of that unfold. Where will the Tigers go? We should know more within the next 48 hours. Steve Arard will join us on Wednesday, maybe when those 48 hours are up. He will let us know. He says he has meetings with the SEC. He has meetings with the Big 12, and he has meetings with the American and, of course, the U of M to figure it all out. So it's a couple of days before you know for sure. Here's what we do know. Last night, because of the bowl eligibility rule of you got to have 6 wins, right? You got to be 500 or better. Jacksonville State and James Madison, all deserving, got in. Now, they were under the rules of you have to be in the league, in FBS, so long in order to be eligible to play, which I think is crazy because they're moving up, not moving down. And, James Madison's just a great story all year long. To not include them, to exclude them would have really been cutting off your nose to spite your face. So they go then to the APR. This is a formula with grades, graduation levels, I guess. I'm not sure all that goes into the APR, but it's an academic thing. Minnesota gets in with an under 500 record, just getting in over Mississippi State. So if Mississippi State had been one spot ahead, they would have gotten in, and then Memphis would not go to the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. Since they didn't, there is still a chance that the SEC will not send a team to Memphis. It depends on, in the pool, which way they decide to designate teams. And that's up now to Greg Sankey, who is the commissioner. So, and I think the other 2 spots that Memphis could land in, one is Fenway. I would be excited about that. And the players would be in a cold weather spot. How they feel about it, I don't know. They may want to stay home. Most of the time, players want to go on a little vacation as a reward. I don't see a beach spot in their future. You never know. But I suspect it's not. I suspect it's either Fenway Park or Annapolis, Maryland. at the Naval Academy for the Military Bowl. Those seem to be the two spots Memphis could land. Memphis, by the way, the fourth, if you look at the polls, or the power rankings anyway, by most people, Memphis is the fourth ranked of the American teams. So you got to look at their bowl connections. If the American, to me, it's Tulane, because I think Liberty's going to win. They're going to beat New Mexico State. They're like double-digit favorites to beat New Mexico State. They beat them in the regular season. New Mexico State played pretty well at the end of the year. Look what they did to Auburn, and they got into that championship game. But Liberty is 25th in the country. They're ahead of SMU. Maybe they're 24 and SMU is 25. I think that's what it is. So Tulane's the highest ranked. If Tulane wins over SMU in New Orleans on Saturday, then it's simple. Tulane's going to the Fiesta Bowl. If they lose, and if Liberty wins over New Mexico State, I think they're in. I think Liberty would go to the Fiesta because of the way they ranked them at 24, one ahead of SMU. So for the American to be sure to get into the Fiesta Bowl and the big money from the New Year's Day 6 bowl package, Tulane's got to win. If Tulane doesn't win, Liberty's got to lose, then SMU would get in. But there's a chance that they wouldn't as the poll was set up. Memphis finished fourth and was picked fourth. That's the way it all worked out in the end, because it was picked Tulane, SMU, and they got to the championship game. This was the preseason conference poll. Texas San Antonio third, Memphis was fourth. That's exactly the way this thing ended up finishing. So that is, at least for the moment, Memphis, in my estimation, AutoZone Liberty Bowl, Fenway, or Annapolis Military Bowl. I think those are the three that are on the table, and we'll know within the next 48 hours. So let's give medals. We do this every Monday. Zach Boyd, my producer, will join me in this. Don't forget, John Thompson and Jason Munns will be following. I'm sitting in the Family Leisure Studios. A reminder, I think it's still on. We'll double check, but we've got the overstock sale coming your way. It's still on, where patio sets are 50% off and play gyms are under $2,000. Don't forget, extended sale pricing on all in-stock hot tubs and swim spas. Get to I-40 and Whidden Road. Family, fun, and an overstock sale all coming together right now at Family Leisure. My first positive medal, bronze medal, to the Tigers basketball team. New poll will come out at noon today, so we're a couple of hours away, a little less. I believe they will be anywhere from 22 to 25. 23rd in last week's poll, 26th, the most also receiving votes of anybody, not in the top 25. With a win over Michigan and a win over Arkansas before, not a good loss, because they were beaten up pretty good. But nonetheless, they did finish nicely the last 9 minutes. Didn't necessarily make a total game of it. Turned a 35-point deficit into a 13-point deficit. Ended up losing by 16. I think if those two teams played again, it would be a much closer game. I think Villanova is going to be a top 15 team in this poll. So I think it's enough to get Memphis into the rankings. And look, you're 5-1. You got to win at Missouri. You got to win over Michigan. You got to win over Arkansas. Nothing to sneeze at. Everything to build on. Now you got 3 really good games in a row on the road, starting with Oxford next Saturday. I think it's a 1 o'clock game. I give a silver medal to former University of Memphis kickers. If you were watching on Thanksgiving, did you see the winning field goal kicked against the Green Bay Packers by the Detroit Lions? The kicker of that winning field goal was Riley Ferguson. Riley Patterson, excuse me. Riley Ferguson was the quarterback, right?
Yeah.
They're all running together. Riley Patterson, excuse me. How did I blow that? Riley Patterson, former Tiger kicker, kicked the winning field goal. Did you see yesterday in a driving rainstorm in chilly Philadelphia, where the Tigers won on Friday going away? And Jake Elliott was on the sideline for that game, at least for the second half. Talked to Greg Yaston, in fact. What a good guy. Yesterday, Jake Elliott, a 59-yard field goal in that monsoon to tie the game, send it to overtime, where Jalen Hurts and company took over. How about that? 2 Tiger kickers. And they don't have a kicker really this year. Well, I shouldn't. Tanner Gillis, who's a walk-on, did a pretty good job filling in for the 2 scholarship kickers that the U of M has. So it's a nice story, but he is not in the league with Jake Elliott or Riley Patterson. And those Tiger kickers get silver medals from me. And then finally, I mentioned the Eagles winning in overtime. Jack Boyd, do you know what the record of Jalen Hurts is the last 29 games?
He won like what? like 25?
27.
Yeah.
27-2. Last 4 weeks behind at the half. I think some of them in the fourth quarter. They have come from behind the last 4 games. Now, I'm going to tell you on the front end here, this to me is bad news. When you have this kind of run of luck early in the year, it doesn't last. So you spent all your good luck in the middle of the year. So the end of the year, karma kind of comes back and evens things out. So I think the Eagles they're spending their wad here, and I don't. Something bad's going to happen to them toward the end of the year and the playoffs. I don't see them getting back in the Super Bowl because they've been so lucky the last 4 weeks. It's pretty incredible. But Jalen Hurts, he's won 27 of his last 29, and he's doing it. I got to give him my gold medal.
Yeah, I just want to clarify. The Lions lost on Thanksgiving Day.
Did they really? I thought they won that game with a field goal.
No, they didn't. They ended up losing. It was 29
Thank you.
22.
Holy mackerel.
You were probably thinking about the game against Chicago last 2 weeks ago.
Okay. Well, Thanksgiving was spent in an airport, on an airplane, in a hotel. I did watch the Tiger game, and I thought I saw the highlights. I thought he had done that, but I apologize.
Listen, I understand. It happens. When things get kind of crossed up when you jumping on one place to another, man. I get it. It happens.
Okay.
My medals here. We're going to start off with the bronze to the upset specials. Ohio State and Colorado State getting their upset wins over the Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah, I know you love those upset specials.
It's upset specials. And then in football, Kentucky, Iowa State, and Cal getting upset specials on rival week.
Yeah, Kentucky kind of put a shadow over the Louisville-Florida State game.
Yeah.
I think if Louisville had won that game, I like their chances for sure.
My silver medals, my medals were going to Michigan and Florida State for keeping their season or keeping at least their spot in the top 4 alive after big weeks as well. Because Michigan, Ohio State was the drum up, the big media game that everybody was paying attention to. They got the win against Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
And then Florida State was pretty much in a dogfight with Florida. But they managed to come out and win. They won the game by 10 points, I think. So, I mean that was pretty impressive on my end, from my eyes looking at it.
All right.
And then my gold medals. Gold medal goes to Deron Bland of the Dallas Cowboys, the pick six leader.
Oh, he deserved. He deserved a medal for sure.
He deserves it.
5-6 pick sixes. 5.
Yes.
He's got 7 total interceptions already.
You got to stop throwing to him, man.
Can a quarterback be the defensive MVP of the year?
I mean, the quarterbacks ain't playing well, so why not?
Man,
why not?
Usually, pass rushers, linebackers, you make a bunch of tackles, they end up being your defensive MVPs. This guy's got a shot.
Yeah. And then my other gold medal goes to Tiger football, Tiger basketball. 9 wins on the season is nothing to sneeze at, regardless of how you look at it.
Well,
you got 9 wins.
Only 10 teams in history in the University of Memphis have had 9 wins. Only 3 teams, this would be the 4th if they win the bowl game, would be at 10.
Yes.
So that's pretty good. And our friend Brett Norsworthy, I guess, is shaming me into giving a medal to the Rebels because they did win 10 games, and that is pretty good. And they have an outside chance, I think it's outside, of getting into the New Year's Day 6.
It would take
that would get 4 SEC teams away from their pool, which would leave their pool short of teams, but that's exactly what Greg Sankey would be hoping for.
And then Tiger basketball, 2 out of 3 in the Bahamas. Very impressive wins against Michigan and against Arkansas. Got to clean some things up, little details here and there, but overall, I think they did a really good job of competing.
Yeah, they've got to be better up front. That seems to be the issue, and they're getting out rebounded by these teams. I think they were even out rebounded by Jackson State, so they're going to have to clean that up for sure and get more out of the combination of Jordan Brown and Malcolm Dandridge. Although I'll tell you, I'm a firm believer in Nicholas Jourdain. I think that guy is pretty darn good. My rust, any DC who won't rush a quarterback on a Hail Mary pass. I don't understand it. If you're going to rush 2 or 3 guys, you give the quarterback the chance to set up to throw the long one, 4th and 31. I mean, if you rush the guy, even if it's just 4, but if you blitz the guy even in particular and send everybody back, I don't understand allowing a quarterback the opportunity to have the time to throw the ball, because it takes a while to throw a ball that long.
Yeah.
You got to get back, set your feet, go forward, and throw the ball. If you're off your back foot or if you're rushed, you don't get the chance to even get it to the goal line. I don't understand that philosophy. And then I thought that Michigan, with Phil Martelli being the coach, but Juwan Howard there, that looked awkward to me. Like 2 guys are standing. I mean, if you're coaching, you're coaching. If you're not, you be in the stands, go to the practice. But if you're designated somebody else to be the coach for the game, I don't get that. I thought that was a weird look and confusing maybe for Michigan, the way Howard and Martelli played that card in the Bahamas.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the situation is with Juwan Howard, because yeah, like you said, like I did notice him sitting on the bench, but he wasn't like super active and I guess leading the team in a way. I don't know if he's still recovering from his surgery that he had over the offseason, but that's interesting.
And then I got to give one more rust to me for not knowing the Packers beat the Lions 29-22.
It happened. It was a short week. You had a lot going on. Like I'll give you a pass.
Thank you.
Personally.
You're very kind.
I think
you are very kind to do that. We're sitting, as we said, in the Family Leisure Studio. Please check in on that overstock sale, because I don't know how much longer it will last. And a reminder that our title sponsor for this program, that's Homer Skelton Hyundai in Olive Branch, and within that dealership is Genesis of Olive Branch. And by the way, that dealership is going to be moving to a new location in Olive Branch. More on that in the months to come. In the meantime, if I were you, I'd take advantage of a deal on SUVs, the GV70, the smaller SUV, that's a Genesis, and the GV80, the larger one, have a special sales price and some financial opportunities when you're going to finance this thing with Genesis. All you got to do is go see Vinny Gerard. He's the crazy Canadian over Genesis of Olive Branch. Go see him. Tell him we sent you. Tell him you want luxury. Only the kind that you can get from a Genesis car. That's Genesis of Olive Branch. Back in just a minute, to Atlanta we go. Our coach, John Thompson, he's standing by as you listen to Wolo and Friends.
Add a little fun to your lunch break. Join Johnny Radio for Sports 56 Happy Hour from 11 to 1 every weekday on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Wow, I feel good. Shopping at DriveMax. DriveMax, you get value.
Need a car that screams I feel good? DriveMax has it all. From cars to SUVs, find a tightly inspected used car that'll have you dancing all the way home. Call 901-664-2424 or visit DriveMaxApproval.com.
DriveMax, I got approved.
Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company, we have it all. From handmade Amish leather belts, fine and casual clothing, boots, casual boots, work boots, fancy boots, and even safety-toed boots. Lots of cowboy hats to choose from, even Nebo lights, good-looking duck head dress shirts, duck head caps, shorts, and pants. Tons of jeans from Ariat, Wrangler, Devil Dog, and Kimes Ranch jeans. At Hewlett & Dunn, we have a great selection of Old South t-shirts and caps. Fine clothing from dress to casual to Sunday best. Enjoy choosing from UFO's orthopedic-approved shoes. Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company. Boots of every size, every color, every skin. Great quality Western, work, and safety toe boots. Hewlett & Dunn Boots and Clothing Company. 111 North Center Street, Collierville. Hewlett & Dunn. Hewlett & Dunn, serving you and your family since 1961.
Fill your game day cooler with the refreshing taste of Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Smooth, real brewed tea with a 5% kick of alcohol. Look for the bright yellow cans. Twisted Tea. Keep it twisted.
Twisted Tea Brewing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Please drink responsibly.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Welcome back in. Oh, I love this time of year. We got so many great college football storylines, including new coaches. Mike Elko going to A&M from Duke. Jeff Lebby, the OC at Oklahoma. He's going to be the new coach at Mississippi State. Jonathan Smith leaving Oregon State. He is going to Michigan State. Our coach is John Thompson. He's down in Atlanta. We talk every week with him, and for some reason, this thing will not allow me to put him on. So if you can put our friend on. Now we got you. Okay. How are you?
Hey.
Happy post-Thanksgiving.
I'm doing great. Thank you. Happy post-Thanksgiving to you. Hope you're doing well. Did you bring the golf course to its knees last week?
Let me put it to you like this. I was in tears when it was all over.
Okay. All right, that's a good one. That's a good one. I hope it's tears of joy.
Yeah.
Tears of joy.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Okay.
What do you think of those hires, by the way? What do you think of, in particular, Mississippi State getting an offensive guy? You know, they went with Zach Arnett, who was the DC when Mike Leach passed away, and they went back to the direction that they had sort of with Leach, which is a guy who is an offensive sort of guru.
Well, I think that's where their DNA is with their team already is right there. But Libby is done very, very well everywhere he's been. He's ready to take that on, and that I think that's what Mississippi State has to be a little different. They played really well on defense, but they gotta throw that thing around the yard a little bit, and it's going to be interesting to see if Will Rogers actually does jump into the portal with all the talk about that. But that was pretty surprising to me. But,
well, maybe this guy can save that, because you can enter the portal. First of all, the portal doesn't open until next week, I think, right? Or maybe it's this week.
Right.
It
hadn't
soon.
Opened yet.
Yes.
They're waiting at the door to bust the doors down right now.
Exactly.
Yep.
And so you can enter and still end up back at your old school, which we've seen. Look, with basketball, I'll give you a great example with Malcolm Dandridge, who flirted with several other schools over the year and then ended up coming back to the same school he'd been with the whole time. So that could happen with Will Rogers, or he may just be going, look, let's see what's out there and who can pay me the most NIL money, because now that's a big deal.
That's a real big deal. And how people are handling that is going to be a major locker room issue, team issue. I think that's where Jimbo Fisher and Sam Pittman probably have both had to deal with that when you have some losing, and losing exposes all of that, and then it drifts down into that locker room, and then you got problems. You don't hear about all those problems at Georgia or Alabama or Florida State right now, or Michigan. It's the programs that are struggling where you hear locker room problems, and that's what losing is a horrible thing. So that infiltrates it for sure.
So you those three hires, you think those are good hires?
I absolutely do. I really do. I think Elko is a big time coach, and now he goes to Duke and dips his toes into the water and gets everything lined out. But Mike Elko is a solid coach, and having a defensive guy there at A&M, I think that's a smart move. And I think the offensive guy at Mississippi State with Libby is going to be really, really good there. They're ahead of the curve on both of those. So they get ready where they can evaluate the portal, and then they get ready and hit the road here next week pretty soon with this stage of recruiting, which used to be major for everybody, but now it's more of a evaluation of the portal. So that's going to be a tough deal for everybody showing up now.
I wonder if, because Elko is a defensive guy, if there will be any pressure on him to keep Bobby Petrino, the OC, at A&M.
I'm sure that was discussed quite a bit, yeah. But that would have to be, before you sign that, you got to know where you stand with all of your coaches. Are you going to be able to bring in everybody? Is there going to, if there was pressure for him to keep Petrino, then I don't think he would taken the job. You got to have full control. You got to be able to do that.
Sometimes those things get weird. I swear to you, I believe this happened for Justin Fuente. When he went and agreed to take that job at Virginia Tech, he was bringing his own DC in. And in the end, Jim Foster stayed, and I don't think that was a good marriage. I think that was thrust upon him after the deal had been made.
Well, that was, if it was after the deal had been made, then that's a bad deal. And you got to, we can go back to that, but that was a very, very popular, Bud Foster was an icon
Bud Foster,
there.
Thank you,
Yeah, Bud Foster was an icon at Virginia Tech, and that was a tough situation. But you got to go in there and be able to have your own guys, and if you've got somebody that is put on you, then it doesn't work out. It doesn't work out for the rest of the staff. It doesn't work out for the head coach. And there's been a lot of, remember, you go back to Arkansas, 10 years ago, there was a whole lot of issues there when Gus came and was hired, and Houston was calling some of the plays, and Gus was calling some of the plays.
Yeah.
The dynamics of that is really rough. But I think the contracts now are so clear now that it takes care of most of that before any of that nonsense gets in there and jacks up a staff.
All right, John Thompson, I know you saw a lot of football over the weekend. Let's start with the Egg Bowl on Thursday, where the Rebels were able to take care of business. Mississippi State didn't seem interested in wanting to win the game. They made so many errors in that thing. 17-7, though, and the Rebels 10-2 on the year, and maybe we'll have to wait and see a New Year's Day 6 placement.
Well, that's a great season for Kiff and all that. I think he was so unhappy having to run the ball as much as he did. I think he likes to run the football, but that was just overdoing it. I'm not sure if Dart, if they fully disclosed how healthy he was, because I don't think he could throw the ball. So that's where Ole Miss had to do it. Had to do it running the football, and had to do it with just toughness. Both teams, I think, played really well in that game. That was a fun game, man. It just brought back some memories of how loud that stadium can be when they're shaking those cowbells, and when the game is close like that. What a great atmosphere! And Will Rogers is the one that just baffles me. I don't know. I don't think he was completely healthy, and I think it showed in the game. Neither team could throw the football, or didn't look like they wanted to throw the football, so it was just a old-fashioned slobber knocker.
Speaking of which, I don't understand. I've already given them a rust medal to any defensive coordinator who allows a Hail Mary or a 4th and 31 pass to be thrown without a pass rush on that particular quarterback, allowing him the time to set up and throw the ball long. It's, to me, crazy, and Auburn did a lot of things wrong, and Alabama was very fortunate to get themselves into the championship game with only the one loss.
Yeah, that's going to be talked about for a long time. What bothered me about it, and I don't mind dropping 8, but you got to twist up front, and you got to be putting the heat on the quarterback somehow, and you can do that with 3. But the 2 edge guys, all they were doing was containing, and they dropped out the nose as a spy. You don't need a spy if it's 31 yards.
Yeah.
Somebody, you're going to come off and get him right there. But that's a hard thing. Hey, Brian Bergdorf threw to Todrick Malone, and Pat Surtain was the defensive back and peeked inside, and Todrick Malone caught the ball and fell in the end zone at Bryant Denny one time when I was at Southern Miss, and Alabama beat us. The worst loss in my career. But we had the guy bracketed. But here's what happened on that play. They were playing 5 underneath and 3 deep zone. The corner squeezed the post route or the adjust, and he plastered, what we call plaster, when the quarterback the plays extended, the quarterback scrambled, and he really just, Milroe just kind of stepped up. But that corner should have seen the ball come out of Milroe's hand, get over there and knock the ball down. But he was chasing a post route inside, so it left one guy man-to-man on him. He lost sight of the ball, and they catch it. Hey, I believe in those situations. You put a little pressure on the quarterback, but you got to have everybody else boxes out. You've got one jumper. He goes, he finds the ball, and he knocks the ball down. There's too many bad things that can happen in Hail Mary. It gives me it's a hard play to defend, but you got to do it the right way, and they didn't.
On the anniversary of the kick 6, you get this. Now both teams will make, you could say, maybe even in crazy plays. That is for sure.
Well, Auburn busted too many plays earlier anyway. They busted a half coverage and just gave a touchdown. Then they muffed the punt.
Yeah.
Alabama was destined to win that thing. There was a lot of things just besides that one call.
So are they destined to beat Georgia in the championship game? What happens there? It's only a 5-point line, I believe. Yeah.
The 2 most talented teams in the league are definitely playing. Alabama continues to get better and better and better. Hey, Auburn sold out everything. That was just you can't tell what that game's ever going to be like. But did Georgia rest a couple of players? Did they hold back? I think they did. I think they said we can go in there and beat Georgia Tech, and we don't have McConkey or we don't have our tight end. We're just going to go in there and be, not show them a lot of things and just beat them. And that's what they did. But Georgia Tech played them very tough. But this is the 2 most talented teams. In my opinion, the two best coaches in college football. They're involved in everything. They're very, very smart. They're very, very alike. Especially with Kirby being, with Saban for so long. So I think this is going to be a great football game. A great football game with a lot of talent and very, very brutal, very physical at the line of scrimmage.
Speaking of college football coaches and those at the top of the game, what would you do with Ryan Day? Ryan Day's now lost 3 straight Ohio State games. Remember, he couldn't lose to Michigan, but now he's lost 3 of those Ohio State-Michigan games in a row. He's like 56-7 in his tenure there.
Yeah.
And they are talking about, he's got to go, which is
Well, that's
the
laughable.
epitome
I mean,
of pressure on a college football coach at a school like Ohio State.
Well, that's what it is when you get to a place like that, or that's what it was like when we were at Florida. I mean, you gotta beat your rival. You gotta beat Michigan. You gotta beat Florida State. You gotta beat Auburn. You gotta beat Mississippi State, and the opposite for all of those teams. That's to me, that's what makes Arkansas unique. Arkansas does not have that, but that's another story. But I just think that when you don't beat your rival, then the pressure's on all year long. Whether you go 1-10 or 10-1, if you beat the rival, and that may be the best rival of all. That's tough. So I don't think he loses his job over it, but there's a lot of pressure. That's like going 4-8, instead of being 11-1. You go 11-1 and lose that game, might as well be 4-8 because the cloud is on you. You got it.
Who's the SEC Coach of the Year? Is it the undefeated Kirby Smart, or is it the story of the year, your guy Eli Drinkwitz at Missouri?
You know what? I think that's a great question, Dave. Because Kirby has done everything. He's managed new quarterbacks. He's managed injuries. He's managed 29 games in a row. The pressure keeps building. And then you got Eli that has surprised everybody and got a walk-on running back that's one of the best players in the league. And they keep winning and keep winning. I just have to go with the guy that's won them all. I'd have to go with Kirby Smart in doing it because I think those guys get overlooked when you got the best team. Well, you didn't mess it up, and that's really easy to do. Eli did a great job, a fabulous job and Missouri has overachieved. But how can you overachieve if you're Georgia when you got the best players? The only thing you can do is fumble it, and he has not done it. I'd go with Kirby a little bit. I'd give him the nudge over Eli, and say, job well done by both guys.
I think I'm going with Eli.
Okay.
Kirby could win it every year. He doesn't lose. What if they won 29 in a row now, right?
Okay. So that means he continues to do the best job.
Yeah.
If you keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it, why get that taken away from you?
Your point is well taken, my friend. I just think no one saw this from Missouri. Nobody.
No, I agree. Hey, and I'll tell you, just like I said last week, you and I have a whole lot more fun with Kirby than we would Eli when we were running, shooting some pool.
No doubt about it. Who do you think wins the Florida State-Louisville game? Because if Florida State wins, they're in the playoff. You're not going to keep an undefeated team out.
No, I know it, but that's. I think they beat Louisville. I think they come back and they beat Louisville. I think Florida State gets in it. Georgia, Michigan, Washington, or Florida State. That's who I think the top four are. And you got to do Oregon, and then Bama and Texas could really mess this thing up.
I would say this:
a whole lot.
If Florida State does win, and that means they will have beaten a rival in Florida and a championship game for the ACC without their starting quarterback, I think you got to say Mike Norvell's in the conversation for National Coach of the Year, isn't he?
Yeah, I would say that too. And then they got a big win against LSU, early in the season too. So no, they
beat another rival in Clemson.
Yeah, they sure have. They're one of the top four. I think it's clear in my mind right now. It's clear with the top four: Georgia, Michigan, Washington, Florida State. I think it's going to play itself out. Okay, I just think I think those four teams continue to win, and that's going to be our top four.
No doubt. John, happy post-Thanksgiving. I look forward to talking about playoffs and championship games. That'll be with you next Monday. Thank you.
Can't wait. Have a great week.
That's our guy. That's our
Great
coach.
talking to you.
Yep. Our coach down in Atlanta, That is John Thompson. He's brought to you by Conway. Reputable services available 7 days a week. You got a problem? Heating, cooling, plumbing, or electric? They're like the guys to the rescue. They are Conway, 384-3511. And this portion of the show is also brought to you by the people who take care of beerness in Memphis. You know I'm talking about Grind City Brewing. Grind City, which the brewery sits kind of high above the city elevation. It's in Uptown, just north of downtown. You see the skyline, you see the bridges, you got a little expanse for a picnic ground with tents and picnic tables, and then this really cool brewery, which will give you product like Poppy's Pills. The Pilsner is just what the doctor ordered. That's their number one seller. There's the India Pale Ale called the Godhopper. There's an amber lager called Thaddeus. And if you like Blue Moon, they got a Belgian-style wheat ale called the Belga. Memphis-made, really, really good. There is the craft malt liquor. That's Tiger Tail. It's got a little more alcohol. You got to be careful with that one. All really good Memphis products. Taking care of business. That's what they've been doing for a long time now at Grind City Brewing in downtown Memphis. We pause for a second, and then fresh from paradise in the Bahamas, Jason Munz from the Commercial Appeal on Tiger Basketball. He's right around the corner.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
At Genesis Diamonds, we're rolling back prices and finance rates so you can get that special someone the most special gift ever. Maybe it's that pair of diamond earrings, or that all-new designer fashion bracelet, or that dazzling 2-carat diamond ring. It's all more affordable because at Genesis, we've got special pricing across the board and 0 interest for 5 years. So you can get that $3,000 diamond pendant and pay just $50 a month, or that $6,000 eternity band for just $100 a month. Everything's included in this amazing holiday offer. All our GIA certified natural diamonds and all our lab-grown diamonds, even all our luxury pre-owned Rolex watches. Imagine that $15,000 Rolex for just $250 a month. You can even finance the sales tax. Don't let talk of rising prices and high interest rates dampen your holiday spirit. At Genesis, we're lowering prices and taking interest rates down to 0. Get that headliner gift they deserve and make your money go farther than ever. Merry Christmas from Genesis Diamonds at Poplar and Perkins Extended on approved credit.
At Lowe's, you can save big on DeWalt tools, tough enough to take on even the most demanding jobs. Right now, buy one DeWalt 20-volt max brushless drill kit or impact driver kit for just $99. And there's more. Save over $20 on the DeWalt Tough Grip 110-piece screwdriver set. Was $49.98, now only $25.98. Because Lowe's knows tools, Lowe's knows pros. Valid through 11/29 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
It's time for the holidays.
Blah, humbug.
What, you're not all excited for the turkey and dressing and cranberry sauce?
The cooking, the cleaning, the relatives.
Well, you got people coming in from out of town?
So many people.
It'll be fun.
All I want to do is go to Central Barbecue.
That's all you ever want to do.
Alone.
Come on, it's the holidays.
Just sitting there in a booth all by myself, enjoying Central Barbecue, no family, being all festive.
Well, you enjoy your own private Central Barbecue holiday.
That is all I ask.
When building the 2023 RDX, we decided to raise our standards. That means a 272 horsepower VTEC turbo engine, standard. Acura Watch advanced safety and driver assistance technology. Yep, standard. Alexa built in, also standard. The 2023 RDX, raise your standards. Acura, precision crafted performance.
Visit Acura of Memphis to learn more about the Acura RDX.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
We got a firing in the NFL. Breaking news a little while ago. Frank Reich, mid-season firing. The Carolina Panthers give up after going 1-10. Chris Tabor will be the interim coach through the rest of this season. You know, it's pretty crazy to think about somebody telling you to call their competition if you're looking like to sell your home. But that's exactly what Sheldon with Mark Spensdorf does. Sheldon Rosengarten tells people, if you're thinking of selling your home, talk to 2 or 3 real estate brokers. Just make sure he's one of them. Now, that seems crazy to me, but once you start talking to him, you're sold. I mean, that's just the way it works. When you want the job done, you call Sheldon. He's got this strategic marketing program that just is a winner. It's proven. He may be the worst golfer in town. He's called Mr. 3-Putt. But if you listen to him when it comes to selling a home or buying a home, he's going to guide you through the proven process of preparation, presentation, and proper pricing. You'll get it done. You'll get to the closing table, the finish line, because that's what Sheldon does. That strategy always works. He gets your house sold. Just call 483-0546 or MemphisRelocate.com. Let's talk with our friend who's just returned from paradise. That would be Jason Munz, beat writer for the Commercial Appeal on the Tiger basketball team. New rankings come out in just a little bit, about an hour and 12 minutes from now. I suspect Memphis will be in the top 25. Do you concur?
Wolo, nothing would surprise me. I thought they would be in last week, and they weren't. Didn't even move up a little bit. Now, granted, the only thing they did was beat Alabama State that the week leading into those updated rankings. This week they did a lot more than that. Beat Michigan, they beat Arkansas, a ranked Arkansas team, who I don't think will be ranked this week. And then lost to what I think is a very good Villanova team that's going to be ranked, going to be back in the rankings this week. But I just, like I said, I thought they would have been in last week. They weren't. There were 14 top 25 teams that lost at least one game this week, and 6 of those 14 teams lost at least one game this past week, to an unranked opponent. So there's plenty of, you would think, going to be a lot of shuffling.
Well, technically, Memphis lost to an unranked team too, right? The championship game with all those ranked teams in the field were the 2 unranked teams.
But Memphis wasn't a top 25 team losing to an unranked team. You see what I'm saying? Like there were 6 teams that were inside the top 25 that lost to unranked teams. So I think there's going to be quite a bit of shuffling. I would think that's going to benefit Memphis. I think they're probably going to be somewhere in that 23 to 25 range, but I've been wrong before.
No, it's crazy, but I think you are probably right. Was the loss to Nova, it was not a good loss, obviously, because it was by 16 points, but it could have been a lot worse. Do you think you salvaged something with that great run, or just the way you played the last 9 minutes?
I think, if nothing else, you salvaged some pride and dignity. If it doesn't mean anything to anybody else, if it didn't register with anybody else, I certainly would expect that it registered with the team. And I think it did. I mean, talking to Penny after the game, he said, listen, we played Michigan, we played Arkansas, we played a very good Villanova team. And while I was very disappointed in the first half and part of the second half, I was very encouraged by the way, they didn't give up, they didn't quit, they fought back, they made it respectable, all that good stuff. So I think that is, if it does nothing else, it's going to be a good, you're able to walk off the floor after a really tough game with your head intact, your pride intact. And that's kind of what I think. And if it does register with the basketball community, the college basketball community at large, then that's just icing on the cake.
What do you think actually happened on Friday? Why such a disparity, especially at the start of the game where they, 16-2 right off the bat? And one of the first things I wondered about was the health of Javon Quinterly, and it's becoming more and more apparent. There's 2 things that are becoming apparent to me, and I'll ask you about those. One's rebounding up front, where they're getting beaten even by Jackson State. I think they were out-rebounded. And Javon Quinterly. When he plays really good, they're just like unstoppable because he can really take over the tempo of the game. But He had to put a knee brace on in this game. If he's got knee issues, maybe that's issues for Memphis. What's his health status?
Well, that knee started barking at him before Friday, before the Villanova game. I wrote about it in the same night as the Arkansas game. Like the very first time he walked off the floor against Arkansas when he was substituted at some point in the first half, that knee brace was slapped on him immediately. And so it was at that point I was like, uh-oh. 2 games in 2 days, whatever. It's starting to bark at him a little bit. And so I don't think, I think, Friday was just a continuation of the stuff that happened on Thursday. And I asked him about it after the Villanova loss, and he said, it was in the first half that it started causing me issues. And so, he didn't say this out loud, but I think, we can all agree that that knee is still not 100%. Don't know if he's ever going to, I think he'd have to sit a few games if he wants to get that knee really in good, strong, good, like getting it back to close to 100%. But we'll see if that happens. But no, he was not at 100%. He was not himself. I don't think he scored or passed out an assist until midway through the second half. And when you couple that with the issues that Jordan Brown is having, I still think Jordan Brown is going to be a very good player for this team. I think that he had issues in the Bahamas, very clear issues, not the least of which was having to go up against the Villanova program whose Penny Hardaway talked about it a lot. He used this word a lot, pedigree. Their pedigree is bully ball. Like, they really make their bones bullying people down low, and that's not Jordan Brown's game at all. He's not a very physical guy. I think he's still trying to play catch up with his conditioning and his strength progress. And so, between Quinterly not being at 100%, Brown not being a good matchup for Jordan Brown, the rebounding issues at large that Memphis is having, plus it being the third game in 3 days. And I know it was the third game in 3 days for Villanova as well, but you put it all together, and that's, I think. And then once it started snowballing, it was really tough to stop them. And let's not forget here, Villanova was shooting the absolute lights out of the gym from 3-point range, and it's like they're going to beat pretty much anybody when they're shooting like that.
Well, and they were. I give them credit for getting wide open looks to take those shots. Sure. They're not always going to fall at that percentage, I agree, but they will probably get those kinds of good looks with the way they move the ball. This would not be a good time to sit down Javon Quinterly for a couple of games. You do get a week's rest here, but you're going to Oxford next Saturday. That's a 1 o'clock game. Then you are on Wednesday at VCU. So you'll be in Roanoke. Then you got to go to College Station and take on A&M on Sunday. 3 road games, 3 winnable games against 3 good teams. Ole Miss went on the road and beat Temple.
Did they? Yeah. They're undefeated. I know that about Ole Miss. And obviously they're in year 1 of Chris Beard. So that's, it's at their place. It's not going to be a gimme by any stretch of the imagination. But I think if Memphis goes there and plays well, they'll be fine. Of course, Ole Miss has Matthew Morrell, and everybody listening probably knows, that he's a handful. They do have Jamarian Sharp, the 7'5" guy that Rick Stansbury had at the Western Kentucky.
Right.
Although he's really a threat to just protect the rim. He's nothing else. He doesn't score very well. He doesn't rebound very well. I think he rebounds worse than he actually scores. And he doesn't score very well. So, he's a rim protector. They're going to have to account for that. But I feel like this is a game kind of tailor-made for Jordan Brown to rebound and get himself right. Like, I think he has the chance to kind of have his way with Jamarian Sharp this weekend, but we'll see.
We shall see. If you were a betting man, last thing, Jason Munns from the Commercial Appeal. Would you say Memphis and Arkansas will begin a home and home in the next year or two? Because we learned something from your question from Eric Musselman, who he says he doesn't schedule the Arkansas basketball team. You buying that?
Well, that's what he said. That is indeed what he said, and kind of dropped the mic on me at that point. Like he didn't elaborate. But he was very, very clear. I don't do the scheduling. Those were his exact words. I don't buy that at all. He might not physically handle the administrative aspect of the scheduling, but there's no way that, head coaches, the head coach is at the college basketball level. That's who does the scheduling. You know what I mean? So it did not sound like he was in any mood whatsoever to discuss the future prospects of Memphis and Arkansas playing in non-conference a series or whatever, like getting the rivalry going again. He was not in any did not have any desire to talk about that. But every time we've asked Penny, he says that him and Musselman, the way he explained it, the way he phrased it to me when I asked him after they beat Michigan, I said, you might be playing Arkansas tomorrow, and he goes, yeah, me and Musselman are cool. And so, he said he was looking forward to it, and he'd been asked about it last week or the week before about potentially playing Arkansas on a regular basis. And he said that he made it seem like it's at least not out of the question. So I think sooner or later it does get done. They do start playing again, but Musselman was not looking to have that conversation with me the other night.
Well, I hope they do, because I think that's a game that will always be competitive. There are always kids that are going to be involved, some from Memphis, it seems. Not many this year, but you have Chandler Lawson. So I would love for it to become a part of a yearly thing. All the local schools. I love it that Memphis playing Ole Miss. I love it that I would like for them to play Mississippi State. And Arkansas, Tennessee too, but Tennessee and Rick Barnes aren't going to do that. Anyway, we're out of time, Munzie. Thank you much. We'll talk again next week. I'll see you Saturday in Oxford.
All right, looking forward to it, Wolo. Thanks.
Me too. That's Jason Munz from the Commercial Appeal. That'll do it for us. The final portion of the show has been brought to you by the Spirit Shop. Weekend's over, holidays over. You're probably tapped. You need to restock up with your spirits, and that could be anything from vodka or tonic or bourbon or beer or any wine, from the very valuable to the up-and-coming. And by the way, if you're not sure which is which, you get an education when you walk through the door at 4848 Poplar. That's Poplar in St. Nick, heart of East Memphis. It's the little log cabin right down from Clark Tower a million times. There's so much in there and so much fun to shop, because Eddie and his staff, his family,